Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where selection tools and layer masking and all this is sort of heading. Um, as we've been walking through these tools, we've been doing starting with things that are very much manual. You are making the selections and then applying a mask, for example, and then cleaning up the mask and further manipulating things to hide or reveal different parts of images. And then as you go further into some of these tools, you get things that are more automated and more Photoshop sort of takes a lot of the work out of your hands and does it for you. And so, object selection tool, Photoshop has gotten really good at looking at imagery and figuring out what the subject matter is and then making selections for you, right? And that wasn't always the case. Photoshop couldn't do these kinds of things. So, this progression from manual, you do everything, to Photoshop does a lot of the work for you has become the direction that it's all heading into for sure. And so, here's an example of that, and I'll sort of show you how to begin to utilize some of those tools. So this is an image where you have these, you know, cute little dogs sitting there, but this is what it originally looked like, and I just went into it and used completely AI driven automated tools within Photoshop to remove all of the mess. And recently, as recently as a couple years ago, it would have been very difficult to do something like that manually using clone tools and all kinds of things and doing your best to make it look as seamless as possible. But I did this in, you know, under 10 minutes, I'm sure. It was very quick, very easy. And we could take it a step further um, and just do something like, let's take the dog out of here too. So it's as fast as this. I click around the dog, I grab contextual toolbar, I press remove. It takes a second, and there you go. It's done. Right. So I'm going to do a couple videos here after this one to keep this one short, showing you how to start to use some of these tools. Um, and it's a combination at this point of being aware of how to use and when to use the more manual tools, how to use masks, when to use destructive edits versus when to use non-destructive edits, and all the things that we're just touching on in this introduction to selection tools, masks, adjustment layers, things like that. When you use them in, a way where you're being intentional, you know how to use them, and you can use those automated tools. They all come in handy in different circumstances. So let's move forward into some of the more automated tools next.